So, Aurinthia, we looked at how to do audio and video calls kind of one-on-one or in chat groups, but like you mentioned before, there's probably times when you need to meet with your team, or at least some members of your team. What are some typical situations when you need to meet with people that you work with?
Well, we have our regular scheduled meetings. We also have impromptu meetings where we have to meet to talk about a student or an issue that has arisen. It really could be anywhere in between.
Sure. Well, the great thing is Microsoft Teams supports both ad hoc meetings, impromptu meetings, and also regularly scheduled meetings. In this module, we're going to look at the ad hoc, the impromptu meetings. So let me show you how that works. So on your computer, we're in our Awesome Video Project team, and let's say that you and I and Aaron need to discuss a website project we're working on. Down at the bottom, in the same place that you would type a message, remember we looked at those icons below earlier. And the one we didn't talk about is the one that looks like a video camera. And that one says Meet Now. Go ahead and click on that. So this is very similar to the chat screen we saw before. It's automatically started the video camera. It's showing you on the video camera. Notice where the cursor is and the question that it's asking.
Oh, so it wants me to add a subject.
Right. So if you were starting a team meeting, you don't want to start a team meeting for no reason. There's got to be a reason, a subject for the meeting, and that's what you're going to put here. So why don't you go ahead and put in website project. And so notice you have a few other options there. Below the Meet Now button, you can turn the video camera on or off, so you don't have to have the video on. You can also choose to schedule a meeting. So if this was something that was not impromptu, it's something that's going to be, Friday afternoon at 2, then you could choose that, and that'll switch you to the scheduled meetings. We're going to look at those in the next module. Okay. For now, go ahead and choose Meet Now. So this opens a meeting room. It's very similar to the chat that we saw before, the audio and video call that we saw before. You have the same pane on the right where you can invite people. Notice what I see on my side. I see that there's a meeting going on in this team and in this channel. Remember, everything happens inside a channel. This happens to be in the general channel. And I see it because I'm here. Now, if I wasn't in this team or if I was in a different channel, one thing I'll notice is that over here on the right, see the little video icon? I can tell there's a meeting happening in that channel because of the little icon that's on that channel. So if I go to that channel, I see the meeting, and if I want to join, I can just click on Join.
That's really convenient.
It is, and now I have kind of the same controls we saw on the chat side. So I can turn my camera on or off. I can choose to turn on or off background blur. We're going to look at that in a minute. I can choose to mute or unmute my mic, and I have some custom setup options. Again, that's where I can choose my equipment. But for now, I'm just going to choose Join Now. And so now we're in the meeting, and it works pretty much the same as our audio and video call did. You and I can talk. We have those same sorts of controls at the top right. One that's a little bit different is we have one called Meeting Notes. And what this is going to do is it's going to give us the opportunity to start or open a OneNote notebook where we can take notes about this meeting. And that'll be something that'll be stored in the team channel. So for future reference or anybody to come and see what happened in the meeting, it's a great place to kind of take those notes and see what's going on. But I can also open my conversation, and what I'm seeing here is our chat specific to this meeting, but once we close out, this will be part of the channel. So kind of like we did with the chat, if I wanted to be texting while we're talking, I can put things in the chat. You see it on your side. If you click over to the chat icon on your top pane, then you can participate in the chat as well.
So how is the chat different from the note-taking section?
Sure. Well, so let's look at that. So you could kind of use it in the same way. I guess the OneNote is a little more formalized. So if you want to use the features of OneNote, so let's look at that. I'll go ahead and click on the OneNote icon. I'm going to go ahead and choose Take Notes. And so here what I have is really a OneNote notebook. I have one section and one page of a OneNote notebook where I have all the abilities and capabilities of OneNote. So I can add pictures, I can highlight things, I can add hyperlinks, I can add sections. So in this view, in this pane, we're using kind of a minimal set of OneNote features. If we want to use more of the OneNote features, maybe focus more on taking notes while we're in our meeting, we can click down here at the bottom where it says View Notes tab. So you can see now back in our channel, I have a new tab called Meeting Notes, which is our OneNote notebook for the notes we took on this meeting. And I can expand out the rest of the menu here to see additional pages, additional sections, and really all the features of OneNote are available here. I can also go back to my call and notice it's keeping it going in the top left corner. You still hear me, I still hear you, we can still see each other. So if I wanted to have more of a full page note taking, this is a good option for that as well. But let me go back into the call by clicking on the window. Now my meeting notes are still there and I can still open them in a pane anytime by clicking on the meeting notes icon. This is also going to be something that we can open in OneNote later if we need to use other OneNote features. Now, just like in our chat, we can also come over here to add people. Now, we don't have to invite people. If they see it happening in the channel like I did, they can just join themselves. But maybe there's somebody specific we want to be in this meeting and they're not here, so we can kind of reach out to them. So it's making a suggestion. In fact, it's suggesting that we add Aaron because it knows that we often meet with Aaron in this team.
Okay.
So I can click on the three-dot menu and choose Ask to Join. And it's like making a phone call to Aaron. He's getting a call on his side saying that Chip has invited you to join this meeting. Do you accept or decline? He's accepted, and there he is as our fearless director in our video meeting. Let's look at the other options we have up here at the top. We also have the settings wheel, which again is where I can control my audio and video devices. So in the far right, I have this info pane, but notice that for me it says info pane is disabled by policies. That's because I'm not an owner of this team and I didn't start this meeting. So I can't get to it. What I can do is I can click on this copy join info. And let me show you what that does. So if I wanted to invite somebody else and they aren't in this list for some reason, then I could go out and I could, for example, start an email and I can paste the information that I just copied. Now in this case, because this is not a meeting that I started, and because you don't have the call capabilities in your Microsoft Teams, all I get is a link to join the Microsoft Teams meeting, and it's only going to work for somebody who's already part of our Microsoft Teams.
Okay.
So it would make more sense to invite them using the invite link. But let me show you something that's different. I'm going to exit out of our meeting. Now you and Aaron can keep going. If I go to another group that I am an owner of, and I start a meeting on my own. So notice two things are different about this. Well, three things. One, I'm in a meeting by myself, which is not terribly productive. Sometimes it might be. If I click on the link icon here, the copy join info, and now I go back to that Word document, if I paste this, notice that I've actually got a telephone number people can call into. So because I have the calling plan feature attached to my Microsoft Teams, I can give people the ability to join through a phone number. They don't have to have Microsoft Teams.
That's really cool.
It also means if I go to this info pane, I can see all that information here. I can also call someone by entering their phone number and having it join that way, or entering a phone number here and having it call out to them for them to join. So you get a few more features when you have the calling plan features enabled on your Microsoft Office 365. But this doesn't help us for our example, so let me close out of that. And I'll come back down to our channel and rejoin the meeting. So back in the meeting, the rest of the controls are mostly the same. One thing I want to point out is if you're in a conversation, if we wanted to co-edit a document together, so maybe we're all working on a presentation or maybe we're all working on an agreement together and we want to be having a conversation while we're working on edits to the document, I can do that here just like we showed before by attaching the document and then starting a co-editing session while we're all working together. So that's a handy feature as well.
So Chip, does someone have to have Microsoft Teams to be able to join the meeting?
No, it used to be that that was the case, but a lot of times, especially in this kind of meeting, if we were actually meeting about a website vendor, maybe we want to invite the vendor to be a part of that meeting, and they're probably not a part of our organization, hence the name vendor, and they may or may not have Microsoft Teams. What we can do is in the invite someone pane, if I choose that copy join info, that copies it to the clipboard, and then if I pop over to an email, I could send this to, let's send it to Aaron's other email address. And when I send that, if they click on this link when they get it, then it's going to take them to the team's website.
Okay.
It'll offer them the chance to download the app if they want to, but if they have Chrome or Edge as their web browser, they don't have to download the app. Firefox, Internet Explorer, Safari, they do. But with Chrome and Edge, they can join the meeting directly without having to download an app. Now, they may have to choose some permissions and that sort of thing. So Erin's going to go ahead and click on that link on a different computer, and we'll see what it looks like on this side.
Okay.
So now we can see that also Erin has joined our meeting, but he hasn't fully joined. So when guests join, they're put into a virtual lobby, and then we can choose whether or not to accept them into our meeting.
Okay.
So if we click the check mark, it'll join Erin to this meeting, also Erin. Or if we choose the X, it'll kick them out. They won't be able to join. So we have some control. Total strangers can't just barge into our meeting if they happen to intercept Erin's email somewhere.
Well, that's good.
So we'll choose the check mark, and he gets admitted. And so now technically we have 4 people in our meeting. Myself, you, and 2 Erins. Now notice that he doesn't have a webcam. The webcam doesn't usually work from the web browser version. It may work with some browsers, but in this case it did not. We still have the ability to do all the other controls with him that we could before. We can mute him or we can remove him. So if we decide, hey, it wasn't a good idea to let this guy in,
Okay.
we can remove him. And he's gone.